Howdy, folks. Welcome to a special edition of the Wild West Crypto Show. I'm Drew.
I'm Brent.
And you'll understand why this is special. We have with us Mr. Bo Polny.
Thank you. I'm here, yes.
Bo, man, you got your Western shirt on, your cowboy hat.
Well, you know, I'm in Texas, and we went, hit a few stores yesterday. So
Yes.
I saw this shirt. I'm like, I got to get it.
There you go.
I'm in
I
Texas.
like it.
I'm in Texas.
I like it. Well, folks, in case y'all don't know, this Brent, happy birthday.
Well, thank you.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, today's
Well,
his.
Wow.
You know, yesterday was Drew's birthday. We had a party Saturday night at the Wild Ass Hay Barn,
Yes.
no less. And Bo and his pretty wife decided that Sophia would decide they just would come.
Yeah.
So they showed up. In
Yeah.
fact, we were sitting there having a Bitcoin bin beat up, and I needed to go to the bathroom. I go, Bo, come take my seat. Here's my microphone. I gotta go potty.
Yeah,
That was fun.
so Bo, I tell you what, I mean, things are happening at incredible speed. Last week we got to see things that all of our mainstream media is going, there's nothing to see here. And I mean, we rely on you to kind of make sense of what the heck's going on right now. So appreciate you willing to stop in here before y'all head back out to kind of get us caught up on some. So, I mean, Bo, I don't even know where to start. We'll hand it off to you a little bit. I did see a video that you put out. I haven't watched it yet. I will after this. Yesterday on my birthday, so I figured it was a tribute video.
Yeah, actually, the video I put out wasn't my work.
Okay.
I just basically cut, pasted, and edited it.
Okay.
And it was President Trump in Vegas yesterday.
Yes.
In church.
Oh, yes.
So
yes.
it was really wonderful.
Money.
Yeah, you know, put the money and
hit the plate.
And more importantly, you should feel when you watch that video,
right.
Feel the power of the Holy Spirit.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my, wow!
Yeah.
If it just blows you away, the power that was in that church. It was wonderful. All the anointings on the president. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of power. There's a lot of power there. You know, in the church. In the church.
So both since last time we've talked, which we're seeing, I mean, things are. It's like something. It's like the shuttle blowing up almost. I mean, things unraveling of the media. Joe Biden's now, as of right now, hiding in the basement again. And
no, what? He's getting ready for the debate. He's going to do it all week.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Bo, I mean, just kind of start unfolding a little bit. Things that you've kind of seen since we talked last, and kind of things that are moving in.
Well, what I could say is what's going on is, and it's all premised on the word, you know, confidence or faith.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we're seeing is just a chipping away of confidence in the United States system itself. Now, that's a good and a bad thing, because the good thing is the old has to die before a new can come online. And so if you listen to my videos of past, you know, so we had a new financial era began this year with the opening of the first seal of Revelation, which was the coronavirus. Now, each seal that opens, more things come upon the earth. But the earth itself is basically has Satan or evil has dominion on this earth. And so God's got to take it down, because basically they have evil has infiltrated the United States. And if you don't believe me, like all the three-letter agencies, look at what's been going on.
If they don't believe you, it's because they're part of the evil.
Well, you know,
I mean, it's pretty self-evident. I mean, you know, everywhere you go, the judicial branch, the legislative branch, you know, the executive branch has been holding up its end of the log for the other two. You know, the criminal justice.
Because that was the last thing you had to take down.
Oh yeah.
If they took down the judicial branch, it's over.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and that's what you're correct. And all these agencies have been infiltrated, but the longest and the hardest one to infiltrate is the judicial branch, because basically these people who are there have life tenures, right? And so because of that, it's like the hardest one to get into. And now that they wanted to get into it, Trump is there.
Yeah.
So he's actually been able to put in 2 justices so far. So this is like rather incredible, the timing of what's going on.
Yeah.
And so as long as Trump remains in power, he can continue to fill the judicial branch. And then ultimately, you know, it all just falls in on them.
Yeah.
It's building to a crescendo. And we're basically going to see the clash of the Titans going on in Washington.
Yeah.
And that word I took from Amanda Grace. She's a prophet. And she basically says there's a clash of the Titans about to go down in Washington. And that is what we're seeing. And then, again, like I started earlier, on faith and confidence.
Yeah.
See, so what is faith and confidence? What is it directly related to in the U.S. financial system? The U.S. dollar, right? And that's why, like today, you're seeing the dollar go down. What have I said since the Greg Hunter interview, since the start of October, which was Yom Kippur, and so the 10 days of awe ended with, I believe, Yom Kippur, and that now we're in a new year. Now this is the Jewish New Year, but please note that it's not the Jewish New Year, it's God's New Year. The Hebrews, the Jews, just happen to have maintained God's calendar for 2,000 years. And so we are now in a new year, and this year is God's year. And this year is going to bring the downfall of the dollar, which is going to do what for gold, silver, and cryptocurrencies? Take a guess.
They are the new store of value. Yes.
Correct. And so as we start seeing more and more unfold, as much as they want to hide the truth will set you free, as it says in the Bible, right? And so there's a lot of truth to be exposed.
Yeah.
We've seen a sliver of what's yet to come out before the election, and then
it's going to get interesting.
It's good, and like I said the other day, is when this all comes to pass, you've got caged, you got an animal who's been running the world, very powerful animal, or entity, has been, which with many heads has been running all, rampant all over this earth. Now they're getting caged into a corner.
Sure.
They're not going to go down easy.
No. Bo, my dad taught me when I was very young. He said one thing you don't ever want to do is pick a fight with somebody who has nothing to lose, because they will fight to the death with vim and vigor. And what we're seeing now is these liberals see what's coming upon them, and they have nothing to lose, so they'll lie, cheat, steal, misrepresent.
And they've been doing that for already generations. But now they're going to do anything and everything to stop this, because it's not one that's going to go down or five. It is dominoes. So when the first big domino falls, it's just going to keep going, and then they're going to turn on one another because they're like, they're going to try to save their own skin. So then that's where you're going to see this infighting start going on in Washington, and it's going to be wild.
Yeah.
So you've already seen a little bit of that in what a lot of people would call the rhinos. They're Republican in name only. Because the funny thing is, Trump comes in and he fractures the Republican Party.
Yeah.
And now his second election has fractured the Democratic Party, and literally the infighting has begun. And the interesting thing is she's on CNN. S.E. Coop, the kind of red auburn hair girl.
Yeah.
And I thought she was Republican. She claims to be Republican, I think. But anyway, she did a deal about all the polls and so on and so forth. And I very seldom respond to anything. But I said, honey, the only poll you need to know is 62% of the people in the U.S. will not tell anybody what their political affiliation is. That poll, if true, tells me that every other poll you get is false.
Yeah. Well, and then top that off, we were talking about President Trump earlier, right? Yeah. So then I get a call from my son yesterday. I'm here in Texas with you guys, right? You wouldn't believe what happened yesterday. So my son calls me up and says, "Hey, Dad, guess who's in Newport Beach today?" Trump.
Really?
So I'm here with you guys, and you should see the videos.
Really?
The streets are lined with like miles and miles and miles of flags and people. So if you think California is blue, you go watch that video. There,
62% of the people won't tell you. Now they'll show up to a Trump rally when everybody else is.
Yeah.
Otherwise, when the pollster calls, they're not going to tell them squat.
Oh, it was incredible to watch. Wow.
Hey, so folks, and Bo, one of the things that we try to do, and folks, any of y'all that are out there for the first time seeing us or seeing Bo or anything else, and you're like, oh my gosh, all this information, it must be crazy, because if I didn't know any of this and I heard it for the first time, I'd be going, these guys got to be crazy, because I watched MSNBC and CNN. Everything's good except Trump.
Yeah.
Right? And so, folks, this isn't a doom and gloom thing, and I say this every time we talk to you, because you're going to hear things that sound really scary. It is a matter of preparation, no different than a hurricane's coming to the shore. Everybody doesn't go and just commit suicide or burn their house down because a hurricane's coming. You prepare, you fortify. to protect against it, right?
Yeah.
So that you can survive that storm. And that's really kind of the message and the things that we talk about every time we have you. It is a time for preparation, folks. And a big piece of that is this monetary system that we're talking about. And if all your money, I talked to a guy actually who was at my birthday party Saturday evening.
Right.
And he was telling me, man, I'm leveraged way over here with 90% of my stuff in the stock market. I said, buddy, you need some diversification. He texted me this morning, I need to get with you right away because I need to diversify, you know. So we're not saying get out of these marketplaces altogether. But what we are saying, if you don't have gold and silver, God's money, and if you're not summing cryptocurrencies, then when this does hit the fan, you stand to lose a great deal of what you're doing.
And we got to say, we're from Texas. You need a little percentage in lead.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay? You know, hopefully the exact same caliber of a gun you own.
Yeah.
Okay? But,
Yeah. So in that, Bo, and we've talked about this before, and folks, you can go back and look for on our channel or Bo's channel, Gold 2020 Forecast, and so folks that are out there listening, and now they're kind of watching this stuff going, uh-oh, what do I do?
Well, again, like I said, you know, it's all based on the concept of faith and confidence, okay?
Right.
I promise you that is going to break this year into next year.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a big problem.
Mm-hmm.
The U.S. dollar, as I described earlier, and even on the Greg Hunter show, was that the U.S. dollar, Nixon detached it from gold
Right.
in August of 1971.
Right.
Okay, if biblically we are living in biblical times,
Mm-hmm.
that was 49 years this past August. So now, as of September, the U.S. dollar is in a jubilee cycle, which means it's a debt that's about to get hit.
Mm-hmm.
So the U.S. dollar is going to drop. As the dollar drops, gold, silver, and cryptocurrencies, the good ones, Bitcoin and the good ones,
Yeah.
you know, that we follow, they're going to be moving opposite the dollar.
Right.
And I'm not talking a little bit.
Right.
Okay? The events that are going to go down are going to be quick and sharp and fast because the world runs on computers.
Mm-hmm.
So when the dollar drops, it'll be a very quick event.
Right.
And then gold and silver are going to shoot with cryptocurrencies quickly as well too. So these are going to be very quick, sudden events.
Mm-hmm.
And then in terms of cycles, so from our cycle analysis, we've called some very important bottoms.
Right.
The last two bottoms. Okay, so let me just take you through the pattern without giving out too many answers into the future. But and if you have our work. So the end of June was a cycle low for Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
I think the 27th it was.
Right.
Then we had Bitcoin go up into July, August.
Right.
And then it dropped. And then it made another cycle low in September, the end of September again. Mm-hmm. And now, even from our past interviews, I said Bitcoin, gold, and silver are in an up cycle. This up cycle goes November into December without giving out, the forward dates.
Right.
But the point is, so we've got this pattern, and each one is a stronger push higher.
Right.
And so the point being is that, and as these cycles go up, the dollar's dropping down.
Right.
And so as the dollar falls, which is going to happen, and that's only the first cycle down of the dollar. It's got another cycle, big cycle coming next year.
Right.
These cycles, these dollar cycles to the downside are going to be very epic
Mm-hmm.
for Bitcoin cryptocurrencies and specifically also gold and silver.
Right.
So those who have prepared, like you've said,
Mm-hmm.
the preparation would be number one, regardless of anything, money, gold and silver are not going to save you in the long run.
Right.
Because the things that are coming upon the earth when the seventh seal starts to open,
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be nowhere to hide except in Christ.
Right.
So number one is you got to have
Get
Christ.
right with God.
You got to get right
folks.
with the Lord because I don't care how much gold and silver you have. When the seventh seal opens and those bowls of wrath start to come, go look at my Greg Hunter interview, and there's a PDF click. You can link it, and you can read what the bowls of wrath are. You don't want to be a part of that.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So it's bad. There's be nowhere to hide on this earth. So you want to basically be right with God, know Christ. Number one, very important. Number two is prepare, gold and silver, because that's not happening for a while. The
Right.
seventh seal.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the meantime, you got to prepare. You have to, if you have gold and silver, and these big monetary events happen, then you can take your precious metals
Mm-hmm.
and you can set yourself and your family up away from the cities.
Right.
Because that precious metal and cryptos will give you and your family financial choices.
Right,
And
right.
what are financial choices? Think about that. You know what that means, right? You can go set yourself up away from the problem.
Right, exactly.
And that just goes into go to the line. If you're standing on the railroad tracks and you know a train's coming, and we're telling you a train's coming,
yeah.
get off the tracks.
Yeah.
Far away
Get
as
far away as you can. You're going to have gold and silver, which are going to be very highly priced, and cryptocurrencies. It'll be a big numbers. Big numbers allow you to make nice decisions for you, yourself, and your family. And in the meantime, too, then you want to prepare because there's going to be again the bowls of wrath and the fourth seal opening starts to bring famine upon the earth.
Right.
So you want to have access to food and water as well too. But again, none of this is happening tomorrow, but it's not far off.
Right.
Let me make a couple comments if I could. One of the, I started with Merrill Lynch in 1983. I was 23. And I remember doing Joe Granville's On Violence volume. That was one of the first technical trading systems. What people have to realize is when you talk about the computer, and Bo's totally right, so much of the trading that goes on now doesn't really have a rational thought to it. And what I mean by that is this: our grandparents would not buy a stock that wasn't paying them 3, 4, 5% dividend. Hardly anybody pays dividend anymore.
Right.
All this trading is going on that's technically based, and so therefore, if it starts to go down, then everybody's system starts giving them signals that it's going down. Then they start doing things that makes it go down even further. Then you have a big spike down. Then somebody's system's going to say, well, you know what, I'm going to take the other side because it's so overdone. Then it starts to come back, but guess what? There's not any reality to it. And then when it peters out, the same thing happens. And so, boom, it goes down hard again. So it always goes down faster than it goes up.
Yeah.
And because we're computerized
That's
now
right.
more than 10, 20, 30 years ago,
yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
We're talking black box,
There's trades
mechanisms.
that happen that nobody even touched.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and they're fractions of seconds.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so important to be ahead of the game.
Yeah. And folks, for any of you where this may be the first time broadcasting, I keep going to that, and I'm, my wife goes and talks about Sean Hannity, and she goes, he's so redundant. And I said, he gets new audience members every day that have not heard this. It's like the first time going to a comedian. He's hilarious. And then you take friends to him 3 or 4 times, now you know all of his jokes. Well, the thing with Bo is, so that you understand, and he really doesn't care what the stock market's doing, do you?
No. All I care, I'm just telling you, here's the thing about the stock market, right? In other words, I don't care about it particularly because I'm not involved in it. I watch it a little bit sometimes just to give, to know kind of where things could be at. To me, the most important things are the dollar, gold, silver, and cryptocurrencies because as the dollar falls, the other 3 go up.
Right,
And the stock market is just involved in the whole scenario, but the dollar is going to be the determining factor.
Right.
And then remember, and even if you're like your friend who has $1 million in the stock market, right? If the dollar devalues by 30%, he has to sell the stock market into the dollar, so that net transaction is he's only got 700.
That's right.
And then he has to go buy gold and silver with it.
Ultimately, it's always about purchasing power.
Right.
It's not what the number is. It's what will the number buy.
Right.
And that's why it's called a toxic asset. Ultimately, that's what's going to happen later on.
Yeah. Well, the other point I wanted to make is that, and this is what I found fascinating first time we met, you use biblical prophecy going back thousands of years and historic trends in the things that you do. And what really amazed us, first time that we met you and you're talking about different things that are going to happen, and it's like, that's kind of interesting. And then all of a sudden when you see that they do happen, and not only do they happen, but they happen within margins that are incredible. And then, I'm not kidding you, in March when we interviewed you and you talk about this precipitous crash of the stock market, I literally had close people to me call, they saw that and they said, hey man, you put that guy on there and the market just hit its biggest highs. And then 3 weeks later, all of a sudden it fell within 50 points in a precipitous decline. And so what's really resonated with me, and should with all of you, but Bo has a subscription base to the things that he does in looking at all these cycles and all that. But it's how accurate you are in the things that you're going, that you see. And you've got prophets, you're a messenger. But you've got biblical prophets that you go and you correspond with and everything. And then it's funny to me that you'll see you'll get an epiphany on something and go in, and then all of a sudden, boom, it ties in and the picture becomes crystal clear. It's just fascinating.
Well, again, I've been blessed to see certain things. To get everything, when I make a prediction, when I say something, it's my interpretation
Right,
of it, right?
right.
So I could interpret it wrong.
Yeah, sure.
So, so there's no such thing as being 100%. But I'll tell you, what God showed me was that, the stock market runs on a 4-2-1 cycle. I got that in a dream, right? That cycle itself, if you go to my charts, you'll see how it lays out within the stock market. That relates to months. But that 4-2-1 cycle also relates to 4,000 years, actually a 6,000 year cycle, which we're heading into, which then leads to 1,000 years of peace on earth, right? So it's just, the whole cycle was written from the beginning as laid out by Daniel. All of these cycles, all glory is to God because they're his cycles, right?
Yeah.
He's shown me pieces of the puzzle. I have been shown pieces of the puzzle, but that's why every prophet is even different. And I'm not saying, but when I listen to other prophets, they all give different pieces because God gives pieces to everybody so the wise can search for the answers. And it's how it's written in the Bible. So when you take all the pieces and you put it together, what you get is a picture. And the picture is that of Revelation, which we are in right now. So we're in the third seal, and we're going to see the stock market plunge, the dollar plunge. It's a rebalancing of the financial system, and that's the next step because the first two have already occurred.
Right.
So it's really fun to watch. But, these cycles are nothing more than time points that I've overlaid that are God's time points that I've overlaid on 2020 into 2021. And it's wild to watch because I had no idea that April 21st was going to be this, an event of what it would be. I knew it would be an event. I didn't know what it was. I was thinking the stock market might crash or was supposed to crash into that event. And instead I said the stock market should hit about a 40% drop by April. Okay, well that happened 30 days earlier, right around the third week of March. So we got that event. But then on 30 days later, oil went to zero on that exact day.
Yeah.
Exact day. That was a biblical date, right? And then 30 days later, you have on the 21st of April of May, you have the next cycle, which is basically the dam breaking in Edenville, Township of Hope. And then you got another 10 days later, which is 40 days, biblical days, which is Pentecost, the Holy Spirit comes down, and then all the riots break out on that weekend in on the world in Los Angeles, or actually wherever, all these different cities.
Yeah.
It's just amazing how all these points, these exact points, cause exact events.
Yeah.
I have no idea what the exact events are.
Yeah.
But those are biblical time points. And then September 18th was a wow event when nothing's happening, but that's supposed to be like a critical time point for our world, September 18th. And I've been saying that since February. And it's like 5 at night, nothing happened, right? All of a sudden, Greg Hunter calls me up and says, Bo, you wouldn't believe Ruth Bader Ginsburg just died.
Yes.
And I'm like, what? And now that is epic because that goes to our initial conversation, Brent. What is that? That is the judicial branch. God took control of the judicial branch of the United States to ultimately give Trump reign and control of events going into the future.
And how about soon to be Justice Barrett?
I know.
Is that not a quality gal? I mean, holy smokes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Good as it gets.
The interesting thing is technical traders all subscribe to trends.
Yeah.
There's the Elliott wave theory, and there's this and there's that. But what I love about it is, if you're going to do that cycling stuff, put God's cycle on it. Stands, I talk about people acting out their neuroses with dollars is the stock market. Well, if God doesn't understand man's neuroses better than anybody else, I mean, who does? So, I mean, Bo's been right on, putting basically the Word of God and its cycles over.
Yeah.
Because they are God's cycles. God wrote them.
Yeah.
It's just you got to tap into it.
Yeah.
And that's really what God has shown me a little bit how to tap into that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you tap into it, you can you'll see time points that are coming. That's why I know, cryptos and gold are in an up cycle, right? They've started up cycle as of the beginning of October.
Yeah.
Right as a new year began, and that's with the new judge being put in place there. So it's really amazing how this is all timing out. And there is another, and like I said, even April was the end of the old world. So our world will never, ever, ever be the same.
Right.
Now, and that relates to Noah's cycle as a time window. It's not particularly when the door closed on Noah, but it's a time window of Noah. Okay, so Noah itself was on the ark because it was 150 days. That's how I knew about September 18th, because it was from April 21st. 150 days takes you to precisely September 18th.
Yeah.
And that will be the time point when God stopped flooding the earth. So the rain stopped 40 days, but the water didn't stop rising until 150 days. Okay. And that was September 18th. Now the next critical time point in the Noah cycle is next April of 2021. And that's when Noah, his family, and the animals come off. They hit land earlier, but they walk and they step off the ark. And what do they step off the ark into? This is really important to think about. What do they step into? A new world.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So I promise you, as crazy as it is, we're going to see crazier because we're going to see about the clash of the Titans.
Yeah.
Because these people that have been that are intermeshed with with this whole system are not going to go down without a fight.
Yeah.
So expect big stuff coming, and then by the end, by say beginning of May of next year, expect calm skies.
Well, and I'll tell you what, you can look and just imagine that Trump wins, how fast he moved the first 3.5 years.
Oh yeah.
Think on what he could stir up by April of next year.
Yeah, yeah. But folks, you've heard the term "all hell breaking loose,"
Okay.
and I will tell you, I mean, we're seeing it in unabashedly, even to the point where Jack Dorsey running Twitter, where they used to kind of pretend they weren't really banning conservatives or Christ followers, all of a sudden they just unabashedly go out there and admit, yeah, this is what we're doing because the devil, Satan, is out here and he's got our back. They're not going to tell you that, but I'm telling you that's what's happening. They don't want the good news out there.
We now have a bunch of their executives that have joined Biden's
transition team.
Transition team, yeah.
Well, and actually, the word from Amanda Grace this past weekend, again, her words are pretty incredible. But what she said this past weekend was something really awesome. Think about this. God set a trap, and they took it.
Yeah,
they took it. The trap was the drive with the data. Then the New York Post posted it, and the hook was when Twitter and Facebook shut it down.
Yeah.
So they got hooked.
Yeah.
So that's called. So now God, who's in control of everything because he can see everything forward, he has them in check.
Yeah.
And if you know chess. The move before checkmate is check.
Yeah.
So that's where the world is at.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, that's where the world is at.
Yeah.
So it's going to get good. But first, as it gets good, it's going to get crazy.
Yeah.
So please be safe.
Yeah.
You know, this end of month, end of October it's their day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stay home.
Yeah.
Keep your kids at home. It's not going to be good because just a few days after that is the election. I'm telling you, stay safe.
Yeah, yeah. But folks, I will tell you, and Bo has a subscription service, and if you want to really dig in and see to the things that he does, which are uncanny, and it'll help you position where you need to go over the next few months. So you don't have to do anything today or tomorrow, but I'm telling you, pay attention to all that's going around you. And let me tell you, I'm not a big fan of NBC or CNN or MSNBC, but I do watch them some because you have to kind of, what do they say, hold your enemies close, hold your friends close and your enemies closer? Yeah.
I do it when I'm tired and I need my blood pressure to go up.
Yeah, exactly. But Bo, you've always done this, and I take it you will, to give people at least a taste of what you're doing. You typically will give them a little discount off.
Well, what I would say this is that number one is, that's just for people what you're offering and what we're stating. Is, you know, if you've never bought cryptos, or you've never bought gold and silver, just go buy gold and silver. And again, not advice.
Right.
Just if you feel it in your heart, you need to pray on it. If you believe what we're talking about makes sense, you personally want to go make some choices in life, financial choices, then go ahead and do it. You know, I personally believe silver is the way to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And cryptocurrencies as well.
Yeah.
Those are the two things that'll move the quickest when all this starts to go down. Gold's going to move, but whatever gold does, cryptocurrencies and silver are going to outperform gold on the move.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those are my two choices. Now, that's what I would just go get it, and that's all you need.
Yeah.
You don't need anything more.
Right.
Now, if you are one of these people who want to profit and benefit from cycle points, no high and lows. Those are called trading points. So for people who are traders.
Yeah.
So if they're traders, they want to know the cycle high going November into December, and that's important to them because they want to, capitalize on that move and then get out and buy back and run the cycles. That is for people who know what they are doing. Okay, so yes, you can go to our website, Gold 2020 Forecast, use the code WILD49, and you get a 14-day trial. $99 goes to $49. So they get half off on it for both gold and the cryptocurrency cycle work that we do. And again, a crystal clear. That is for people who know what trading is and what it involves.
Well, let me interject, because you also do identify, there's over 7,000 cryptocurrencies, and you identify ones that you think are going to be the better. So, I mean, even for that, there is that information for newbies. And
I'll tell you what, there's a lot of people that, you go in and you hear of a black box program.
Yeah.
Basically it's an algorithm where you're trying to do cycles and so on and so forth. And of course, it's one thing to write the program, and then it's something else to be the one that clicks buy and clicks. And so sometimes you need to just take a little bit of money and jump out there and do some of that just to get the experience. There's nothing like actually doing it.
Exactly. And folks, let me tell you, there are, in addition to what Bo does, and Bo puts out a lot of information. We subscribe, obviously, and it's always, I learn new stuff every time. Just when I think I have a pretty good idea of what you're seeing and thinking, and all of a sudden, just like with Ruth, you texted me right after Greg Hunter called you, and you said, "Did you see the news? Ruth Bader Ginsburg died," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" And then it happened to be on the 18th, which you talked about, that specific date. And so the bottom line is, folks, get out there and quit believing that little bitty sliver of news source that you're doing, because I'm telling you, you are being lied to on most accounts. And look at the other information. It is available to you out there. But I'm telling you, it is time to get prepared. One of the things that it meant the world to me that y'all made the decision, you and Sophia made a decision to come here after you'd just been out here about a month ago. But it's folks, it's getting together with like-minded people that are Christ believers, that believe these things that have been predicted many, many years ago. We are in these cycle times, and a lot of people don't know what to do or how to act or anything else. And so if you wanted advice or directions to get somewhere, you don't just get in a car and take off like we did yesterday. We left my place. Bo just jumps, and he, with all confidence, takes a left. And I thought, okay, so he's going to go the back way. He knows where he's going, and then pulls up GPS. Well, you're a little bit of GPS, and a lot of these other folks are. I'm telling you, there is a part of the reason we smile and actually have a good time. I'm excited for coming times.
Well, this is a great point you brought up, okay? I went the other day to pick up some mail, and the lady who's getting my mail for me, she has in the background playing CNN. And if I was watching that, I'm telling you, if I watched that every day, I'd be ready to commit suicide. It's so depressing.
Yeah.
It's so depressing.
Yes.
And the Bible is a story of good news.
Yes.
And then you turn that on, and you're like, you just want to slash your wrists.
Yeah. Yeah.
How could anybody watch that with a sane mind and actually want to go out of their house?
Yeah.
Heck, if I was watching that, I'd want to sit in my house 24/7, freaked out.
Yeah.
Instead, I travel, I drive, I go everywhere I want to go with my family.
Yeah.
I have the least, what is there to fear? I have Christ. I'm covered in the blood of Christ.
Yeah.
I know he's got me. What is there to worry about, right? And worst case scenario, even if in the end times when they say, there's going to get so extreme, but you have to pick between good and evil, and Satan and they're going to pick between Allah and Christ. They're going to make you choose. If you don't, they'll cut your head off to that extreme. Not tomorrow. We're talking years out, okay?
Yeah.
But remember, even if that happened, Christ is right there to pick you up.
Yeah.
So what is the fear? Okay, so the point is, if you live in a state of fear, it's because of what you're doing. You're watching things you shouldn't be watching because Satan, he's the master of death, destruction, and fear. That's what he does, right? Yeah. And remember, we live on an earth, on the world that is. Satan has dominion right now, as much as you don't want to believe it. When you accept Christ, then he flees from you.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that's how you overpower him.
Yeah.
Okay? But the point is, if you haven't, then you're running a state of fear constantly. And remember, from the time of Adam and Eve, to give you a nutshell how simple this whole story is. from the time of creation, Adam and Eve led Satan on the earth. He's been here for 6,000 years. Christ came 2,000 years to go to redeem the sins of what Adam and Eve did. But however, Christ returns again because he's going to unite the world, and well, not the world, the people that choose him. So it's all about choice, free will.
Yeah.
And those that choose wisely are going to live in an eternity of paradise.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And those who do not choose wisely, listen carefully, will live in all eternity with the great deceiver who was a defeated foe and was kicked out of heaven 6,000 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you know what fear is: the absence of faith.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Correct.
I tell you what, Bo, it's been one of my greatest delights to have met you and Sophia there in Las Vegas over a year ago, and then the friendship that we've created, really primarily and secondarily the reinvigoration of the things that we see. Because folks, a lot of times if you're a Christian out there walking on your own, you second guess a lot of different things. And so all of a sudden when you get together, that's why these Antifa wreak the havoc and stuff they do, because there'll be a little group of them that are filled with so much hate and destruction that they go and rape and pillage, and it typically plays out. However, the believers that are out there that can see this and have people like Bo and other folks that we really listen to, and go back and start reading your Bible again. Folks, I'm telling you, when you have surgery, it's uncomfortable, right? And you don't like it. Well, this is almost a surgery on earth, this flipping of this entire script, and the future is going to be incredible, and we're all going to share in this together. And I mean, I'm more excited than I've ever been in my life about anything.
And the funny part is, there's a lot of people who are like on the fence, right?
Yeah.
But then these people who are on the fence, when they come into a life-threatening situation and they're about to die or something's about to happen to them or their family, what is the first word out of their mouth? Oh my God.
Yes. Yeah.
My point is, why?
Yeah.
Because it's in you. It's deep inside you.
Yeah.
And when you're not thinking, you spew the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Brent, what do you always say? How many non-believers are in the foxhole?
Everybody's a Christian in the foxhole.
That's right.
Well, the reality of it is, go read what your Bible has to say about lukewarm Christians. If you want to.
Right, God's going to spew. Christ will spew out. He'll be spewed out of his mouth, because there will be no, in the future, as times progress further, it's going to be black and white.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay?
Yeah.
And that's where we're heading. And unfortunately, a lot of people will continue to, to not wake up.
Yeah.
And my objective, my plan of speaking with you guys here is to wake up as many people as possible, and turn to the truth.
Yeah.
Because the truth is the truth, and the truth always, you bring the truth forward, and it brings light with it, and it exposes all the darkness.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening, and that's what's going to happen, and it continue to happen, and it's just going to be chaotic.
Yeah.
That's the chaos that's coming. But ultimately, like I said earlier, the simple story is after the 6,000 years, it's a return to Eden.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, and as crazy that sounds, but when Christ comes and conquers, and because remember, only Christ can take out the ultimate evil.
Right.
Because Christ has to return to do that, and then we're back to Eden again.
Yeah.
And so it starts in Eden and ends in Eden. Yeah. And that's the simplicity of the entire story. But the question is, where will you be at that moment in time?
Man, what a question to end this on.
Oh, yeah.
Where will you be as this comes?
We could do Joe Biden. Where will you be?
Yeah. Bo, listen, we're going to let you and Sophia get back. We know you got to get back to California. You left the 6 boys there, and I'm sure they've been completely good.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I'd fear Sophia enough. I'd be good. But anyway, thank you so much for not only coming here, but again, sharing this message with these people out here. And I hope we reach, folks, when you see this thing, share it with everybody you care about.
Please send it to everybody. The point is, we are trying to wake up the world.
Yes.
And this is for you, for your family, for your loved ones, anybody close to you. They don't need to believe you, but show them the truth and plant the seed.
Yeah.
Plant the seed.
You bet. Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
You're amazing.
I love you guys.
Love you too, man.
Love you too.
Yeah, thanks,
you. Pal. Thank you. Thank you, Brent.
Folks, go back and look at some of our previous interviews of Bo, and go to his channel, subscribe to his channel and our channel. And thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again this afternoon.
Thank you. God bless everybody.